What's up guys, Jake Lowry here, and today we are very excited because we're gonna be testing a mystery tackle box. Do you guys notice anything about that footage? Apparently, I forgot how to set the proper settings on my camera and film the entire intro in a very high ISO setting, which caused it to be super grainy. Now, that said, because I don't wanna make you guys watch about 20 minutes of grainy footage, this is the USA themed mystery tackle box. So this box only has lures that were made in the USA. Initially, I thought this was going to be a positive thing, and the reason for that is things made in the United States are generally more higher quality than things made in China, but these mystery tackle boxes seem to have gotten worse. So why don't we just get right into it and take a look. Because this is after my day of fishing, you're gonna see a bunch of trash, but the first lure that I pulled out of here is the Leapfrog. This is actually one of the better baits in the box. It walks very well, and you don't need to do anything with the skirts to cut it to make it walk, so pretty impressed with that. Okay, next thing is a bait that I've actually used before. This is the Excites bait. There's actually no name on it, but it's just like a little minnow style lure. Probably really good if you're using live sonar, but for a guy fishing off a kayak on the bank, in muddy water, something with this translucent color just isn't gonna cut it. Next was one of the better baits of the day as well. This is the Black Label Custom Soft Plastic SSGP. This is actually a very solid finesse bait, and I liked it for the color. It's dark green with black flakes, so really good there. I've never seen this brand before, so another positive out of this box. Okay, next we have a V&M toad. This is a topwater toad style lure. This specific toad did not have a good action. I might as well have tied a creature bait on and retrieved it over the top of the water and had the same action. So kind of disappointing here. Another thing about this lure is that the plastic on it was not durable at all. This thing kind of fell apart, and I had to use 2 or 3 in maybe 20 minutes of fishing. Next lure here was probably the best lure in the entire box. This was a Luck Strike jerkbait. This thing had really good action. Again, I was fishing a muddy water location, so a jerkbait isn't ideal, but I was pretty impressed with this lure, and I'm definitely gonna throw this one in my box. So this was a solid bonus out of this. And then for $40, guys, the last bait in the box, it came with 2 hooks. Here's the packaging. Brothers Baits. This is like a Ned rig, but with an EWG hook going through it. So 2 hooks, guys. These are $1 a pop maximum to make, and I just don't get how you get 5 things for $40, and all of these lures add up to value. Huge disappointment out of these mystery tackle boxes, to where I think you're actually getting less of your money's worth out of these boxes than if you were to buy all of these lures individually. Not having the liberty to pick out your own lures, and then them being not great, and then you also spending more money than if you bought them individually, it's like, what's the point, guys? Supposedly, I did see some marketing updates on MTB where they're changing the lures that they're putting in the box. So I'm curious to see if the next MTB box that I try, that I buy off their website under this new marketing campaign, is any different. But right now, I think there's a pretty severe issue with these boxes. That said, guys, let's cut it to the fishing. All right, guys, we made it over here by the boat ramp. Let's see if we can't figure out some early morning rigging situations. I'm gonna keep the rod situation simple. Bait casting rod, and then also spinning rod today. This is actually a newly purchased spinning rod. It's a Falcon that I purchased from my neighbor, so pretty excited to test that thing out. That said, I want to use these jig heads here with the spinning rod, and then also pair that up with these Black Label Custom Soft Plastics, and this is going to make for a really good weedless, snagless, finesse style Ned rig right there. Pretty interesting little rig right there. I'm not convinced I'm fishing for bass. It more so seems like I'm fishing for something smaller. This definitely isn't a Texas box, I'll tell you that. Okay. That makes for a pretty decent little Ned rig right there. So I'm gonna throw that along my spinning rod. By far the smallest hook I've used for bass in a very long time. So let's set that down for now. On the bait caster, I think I have to start off with this horny toad Buffalo Bayou bullfrog, and this thing is in a black color. So I'm gonna see if I have a hook here in my terminal tackle box that I can get out. Will go well with this thing. I feel like for some reason I want to throw a big style of hook with this frog. I want to throw something thick in case it ends up getting caught in a lot of matting and stuff like that. That actually looks pretty solid right there. Why don't we get this thing on there? Let me know if you think this is actually the right way to rig this thing, but I feel like with these kinds of frogs and the thick cover that I'm gonna be throwing in, I'm gonna want something that's a little more strong. So that actually looks pretty solid right there with the flipping hook. All in all, I'm pretty confident in my kind of early morning rigs here. Let's get these rods ready. I'm curious to see what the action of this thing is gonna be in the water. Again, kind of another unideal setup. I have this thing paired up on fluorocarbon, so it should be pretty interesting to see if this thing even floats, but so far feeling pretty good. And then let's get this spinning rod rigged up. I have no clue what kind of line is on this thing, but it actually looks pretty solid. It feels pretty light though. All right, I need to find some leader material here. I'm thinking lighter is better right now, so let's get this 12-pound fluorocarbon out. A general rule of thumb is 6 feet. So for me, if I do a full wingspan and then just a little more for my knots, I'm actually right on the money for leader length. I use the same leader to line knot that you do in fly fishing when you attach tippet to your leader. I'm not really sure this is the best knot to be using when I'm fishing for bass, but I've had issues with it in the past. But I'm not really sure what is the right leader knot. That's probably something I should know, you know, doing a fishing YouTube channel, but you know, some things you just don't really care enough to research. All right, I just got my sonar set up. Why don't we test out the action of this little horny toad? This is a style of lure that I really never use. Let's see here. Okay, it doesn't float right away. It does a pretty decent job at being a toad. I don't know if I'm having on the wrong hook. This hook might be a little too heavy for this lure, but I don't know. This is pretty ridiculous, guys, that this was one of the lures that came in that box that was supposed to be $8 a lure. I don't know why I continue to do this to myself, but we'll see how effective this thing is in probably 10-20 minutes. I feel like there's chances that it's actually a really good lure, but I don't know if I would equate this to literally anything more than doing the same thing with a topwater frog. If I don't catch a fish on this, I'm probably gonna have to switch, because this is the best looking water that I'm gonna find in this entire lake with this lure on. There's some spots that I feel like might be higher probability, but not for this lure. Okay, this is like the little secret cut I was talking about. And when I usually go back in here, I spot fish. So I'm pretty excited to be back in here with the horny toad style of lure. All right, let's not get stuck in this giant mat. I have made such good casts with this thing. And the fact that I haven't even gotten a nibble is very disappointing. So my initial impressions of this toad style of lure is actually pretty positive. I feel like the action of this thing is not great, but it's not designed to have the best action of any lure that you've used before. But, big but, is that this thing is made to throw into heavy cover, and you will not get a single weed or snag out of it. So I feel like it definitely has its purpose, right? First blow up. First blow up. He missed it though. Let's see if we'll come back for it. No way he comes back for it. Damn it, guys. All right, I want to take a look at this box again and see if I have any creative ways to use these lures. Because right now I feel like conditions aren't matching what we have. Low-hanging fruit here, guys, is the jerkbait. This is like the one lure that you're gonna want to throw in the fall out of this entire box. Let's get this thing actually rigged up on the bait caster here. You know, whenever I watch videos of other people fishing, they seem to love to throw a jerkbait. And whenever I throw a jerkbait, I seem to not catch literally anything. So I'm curious as to why that is. I'm definitely doing something wrong, right? But what? And it could be as simple as, you know, it's just one of those lures that you have to throw off of a boat and stand up. Or it could be, you know, a little more complicated that I just don't know what I'm doing. As I say that, I feel like I'm in a good spot for a drift. So why don't we stand up for a minute and see if we can't get a jerkbait fish. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why does that always happen right away? You guys are getting a nice shot of my butt right now. That's a fish. That's a big fish. That is a big fish. That is a fish standing up on the kayak. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The mystery tackle box. The American box. Whew. Whew. Oh yeah. Let me sit down. Let me sit down, guys. Let's bring this sucker in. I guess I was wrong about the jerkbait. Man, that is a nice bass. That's why I fish at this lake. That is why I fish at this lake. That is a nice little 2-pounder. Let's get him on the scale, see how much he weighs. I'm kind of curious to see. Let's see here. There we go. 2.5 pounds. Lock it in. That feels pretty good, guys. That feels pretty good. I was feeling discouraged about my chances of hooking in a fish today, but catching a nice little 2.5 pounder on the jerkbait, that's my first jerkbait fish either ever in a very long time. So let's get this guy released. The American-made Lures box isn't a total fail. I'm not here to call it a success quite yet. So why don't we get this thing back in the water and see if we can't catch fish number 2 on the day. Man, does that feel good. He came right in this grassy area. Sometimes these fish in the fall are really schooled up, so maybe I can get number 2 pretty quickly here. I actually don't hate this kind of configuration here. I got my knees on the seat. This is for sure a spot that has a hard bottom. There's all types of construction through here. So if there's any spot that I'm gonna hook into a Ned rig fish, it's gonna be right here. Come on. Just not quite clear enough for a Ned rig or any type of finesse tactic, but we'll see. All right, let's see how close we can get to the corner of that boat dock. It's a good cast right there. Come on, fish. If I'm a 10-pounder, I'm sitting right there, eating a Ned rig. Now you guys are getting butt and feet. It's pretty entertaining. Ah. All right, guys, today we are going to live and die by the mystery tackle box challenge. I'm taking off the only lure that I've seemed to have been able to get a fish on, and then I'm gonna put that frog on because this bank looks good. It looks really good, guys. So let's see here. I'm curious if the American-made frog is any better than the American-made toad. Okay, next thing I want to do rigging-wise is going to be a little counterintuitive because it's not good for the challenge, but I want to put a drop shot rig on. And the reason for the drop shot rig is I feel like I can fish it over top of the grass. So if I get this drop shot rig enough length between the bait and then the weight, I'll probably be able to keep that bait above the grass. Now, between the two of these, I want to keep these Black Label soft plastics on the drop shot, and the reason for that is because it's darker and it's going to stick out a lot better in this water. All I have hook wise is this weed guarded wacky hook, so I'm going to take the weed guard off of this hook and then utilize that as a drop shot hook. I'm going to get my pliers as close as I can to that hook point and then twist that hook all the way around there. Come on. Perfect. Off goes the weed guard. We don't need that. And on goes the hook. No way. I think I just threw that hook I spent all that work on in the water. I think I have one more of those. Oh yeah. Let's see what the action of this thing looks like. Actually looks pretty solid. So overall, I feel like with the bait being right here and then this new rigging style, I might actually have good odds to hook a fish, which is the first time I'm saying that with a non-jerkbait lure. There he is. There he is on the drop shot. I knew it. This is a nice fish. This is a nice drop shot fish. Look how much this rod is bending. Right on that submerged laydown. Let's go. Let's go. Right in the top of the mouth too. Man, this is turning into being a pretty nice day. Drop shot bass. Look at that, guys. First fish on this spinning rod as well. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm not gonna weigh this, but that thing is probably a little under or a little over a pound. Let's get him released. And so far I've gotten bit on 3 of the lures in the box. The only thing that I think isn't gonna work is that Ned rig. If I can catch another drop shot fish on that other soft plastic, I'm looking at potentially just having to catch a fish on frogs, which I feel like is an excusable reason to not finish the challenge, so maybe. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up the video. I didn't end up catching any more fish for the rest of the day. Even after fishing for 4 or 5 hours and catching 2 fish, I still think this box was not worth the money. I know I caught a nice 2.5 pound bass, but I was just in Bass Pro Shops and could have gotten a much better box for the same price point at that store. So that said, let me know what you guys think of this mystery tackle box in the comments down below. Like this video if you liked the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys next time. If you enjoyed that video, check out my YouTube channel where I have a bunch of fishing and outdoors related videos. Also, don't forget to click subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss on any future videos.